Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died.
Was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's the man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Well, I think she died because she had 1,000 plastic.
Michelle thinks American men suck.
Let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. To the women.
Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld just dropped a savage, no-filter roast of Michelle Obama, shattering her media-polished image with biting humor and relentless truth bombs. With sharp jabs and fearless commentary, they dismantled the glossy persona, the media halo, and the carefully manufactured iconography. From her tales of hardship to the pedestal she's placed on, nothing escaped the heat. If you've ever side-eyed the non-stop praise or felt something was off beneath the surface charm, this takedown peels back the mask in a way few dare to.
There's a video of her and she's walking into her apartment building.
Right here, I just was playing the one that.
That's it. This is the one.
Or the first woman
We already
president.
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
That's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay, we all know.
Choice is clear to the men that we love. Our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment.
What's that pitter-patter sound I'm hearing in the background? It's the footsteps of Barack running to vote for Trump.
Joe Rogan didn't need a fancy event to spark his takedown of Michelle Obama. It wasn't personal, it was performance art. She re-entered the spotlight like a celebrity preparing a comeback tour. Joe couldn't resist. To him, it was like someone rehearsing for a presidency in a Whole Foods mirror. He pounced on the chance wrapped in buzzwords, kale, and just enough foes struggled to catch headlines.
Tim Dillon's video where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her cock out and China would just give up. I was wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Liking the video so far, don't forget to hit subscribe and tap the bell icon. Joe eased into his critique like a lion warming up before the hunt. No need to grouch as a knowing grin, a sip of his drink, and a head tilt that screamed. Here we go. To Joe, Michelle wasn't just a person, she was a polished package, a speaker brand algorithm hybrid. He shredded how every event felt more like a TED Talk sponsored by Yoga Gear than anything political, policy, optional, presence, everything.
Even if they run Michelle. According to a new poll, Michelle Obama isn't as strong a Democratic candidate against former President Donald Trump as many Dems would have you believe. In a hypothetical matchup, my favorite kind. Trump wins with 47% of the vote compared to Michelle Obama's 44%. I guess some of the kids whose school lunches she ruined are finally old enough to vote.
He called her Netflix shows, podcasts, and sold-out events the ultimate political makeover. According to Joe, Michelle wasn't stepping into the spotlight. She was premiering season 2 of her public image. She was the human version of a motivational meme, perfectly filtered and strategically deep. He mocked how she spoke about adversity while lounging in the luxury of a multi-million-dollar mansion.
Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as Like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, you know, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 mansions.
But Joe wasn't finished. He zeroed in on her constant themes of struggle and adversity, while living a life most Americans can't imagine. He joked it was like hearing royalty complain about paparazzi. To him, Michelle preaching hardship was like a duchess giving a TED Talk on the burden of being admired, her version of trauma. Joe joked it was probably a bad camera angle during a book signing, and the media, they lapped it up. Every word was treated like Lincoln's address, wrapped in Instagram wellness vibes.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it. When she...
Joe hit his stride. He found his rhythm and didn't hold back. He pointed out how odd it was for someone who spent 8 years in the White House to claim invisibility in her memoir. Michelle, he said, was the only person who could claim to be marginalized while trending for weeks. He compared her to an Olympic flame always carried, never challenged. Then he hit culture. Joe relished this part. He ripped her food and fitness crusades, saying kale had become her holy symbol. He joked, kids weren't healthier, they were candy smugglers in school cafeterias. The lunch program wasn't progress. It was a nationwide beige-plated protest. Her public persona, a yoga mat of moral messaging. She didn't just want influence, she wanted reverence. She wasn't selling books. She was pitching herself as America's soul, and Joe couldn't stop laughing. Every line felt like it was drafted by a team of headline editors. Every smile, pre-lit to him. She wasn't a person. She was branding in motion, dressed in sneakers.
They're having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons in Antarctica.
Then Greg Gutfeld took the mic, and he didn't just poke fun. He dissected her image with gleeful precision. He wasn't targeting the person, he was after the illusion. The invincibility cloak that media and culture wrapped around her. Michelle wasn't just a political figure, she was the high priestess of progressive mythology. And he came ready with a flamethrower. He began with her recurring theme of narrating America from the mountaintop of hardship. Greg argued she'd turn struggle into a storyline. Her speeches, half pep rally, half therapy session. Always the same chorus. Even I suffer in this country. Greg cracked up. If fame, Ivy League credentials, and cultural sainthood don't cut it, what does the press? He said, treated her words like scripture etched in gold. If she tripped on a stair, the media would spin it into poetic oppression. Wrong. Never. Misunderstood. Always. Critique. Forbidden. She wasn't just defended, she was deified. Greg said it was celebrity armor with a political twist.
Michelle Obama has openly admitted that she and Barack sleep in separate bedrooms. Here's how it works. She sleeps downstairs and he likes men. Chinning. The weather. Let's do a monologue. Michelle Obama's new podcast is off to a slow start, ranked at number 34 on Spotify. In her defense, most people don't like her.
Then came the activism. Gutfeld mocked it as perfectly lit theater, dressed in designer slogans. He claimed every cause she endorsed came Instagram ready with brand colors and hashtags. It wasn't activism, it was content. He said real change doesn't come from Spotify playlists and curated speeches. It comes from grit. And Michelle, he claimed, had never risked a thing. Not with her money, not with her status. He tore into her memoirs too. Reading them, he joked, was like getting cornered at a fancy party by someone preaching resilience while sipping top-shelf wine. Each chapter a blend of soft-focused struggle and strategic self-congratulation. Gutfeld said Michelle inflated minor discomforts into cinematic trauma. And then there was the image, the real Michelle, the down-to-earth counter to Hollywood fakes. Greg laughed. To him, she was as grounded as a rocket prototype. Her authenticity, tested, tailored, and approved by consultants. Real, no. Professionally relatable. Absolutely. When someone has that much power and polish, Gutfeld argued, the line between person and performance vanishes. Then came his final blow. The political tease. The careful hints. The well-placed speeches. The coy refusals. Greg said it wasn't random. It was a stealth campaign rollout. A soft launch with glam filters. And if you didn't catch it, you weren't watching closely enough.
Rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men.
Greg didn't hold back. He called Michelle Obama the progressive dream candidate. Not for her policies, but for her presence. The charisma, the story, the vibe. She could campaign on feelings, not facts. Inspire crowds without a single concrete promise. To him, this wasn't politics. It was emotional marketing. Then Joe jumped back in swinging. He called her a motivational speaker, guarded by the Secret Service, a master of vague inspiration. Her speeches, timeless and placeless, fit for any decade, any cause, yet said almost nothing, like trying to hug fog and couture. Joe said the danger wasn't in her words, it was in how untouchable she'd become. A culture of silence surrounded her, not because of her record, but because no one dared to press. In Joe's view, sainthood had replaced scrutiny, and that's where the real threat lived.
Being married to the president of the United States thing.
Yeah.
that none of us kind of banked on. I mean, we knew Barack was smart and, ambitious, but, I think, but you talked me into supporting his run.
I did.
Because I was definitely like, nope, no way, this is crazy. We've done enough crazy stuff.
That's right.
Greg wrapped it up with a brutal analogy. Michelle, he said, was the living embodiment of a political Pinterest, bored stylish, uplifting, perfectly curated, and quietly loaded. He warned that beneath the glitz was a blade wrapped in silk, not loud, not obvious, but sharp. Her political play wasn't about debates, it was about presence, a smile, a story, a spotlight, never a grilling. To Greg, this wouldn't be a campaign, it would be a coronation covered in inspirational quotes. Joe nodded, backing it up with his usual no BS flair. He said Michelle wasn't the danger was our fear of questioning her. That level of protection, it wasn't just powerful, it was unchecked. And unchecked power, in any hands, is a silent risk to accountability.
One thing that the girls would do at Barack was to go stand next to him when he pardoned this turkey.
Yes.
And it was cute when they were little, but as they got older, you could see on their faces in the shots of just them thinking, I would just poke my eyes out. Just right now, just get me out of here. I'm standing with my father telling these stupid jokes, next to a turkey.
Together, Joe and Greg didn't just poke fun, they dismantled the myth of Michelle Obama. They pulled back the curtain, examined the engine behind the elegance, and called out the choreography behind the charm. They weren't dismissing her achievements, they were demanding she be held to the same standard as everyone else. Joe dug deeper, highlighting the irony. Michelle, with global applause and elite status, still played the underdog. He compared it to a gold medal winner, pouting because the crowd didn't clap loud enough. The overlooked narrative had become overplayed. Joe noted how she already had media, Hollywood, academia, and publishers at her fingertips. And yet, every appearance was treated like a spiritual rebirth. He said it felt like watching UFC fans erupt for a yoga teacher's warm-up routine.
I will not run for president.
Yeah, I heard you say I think Michelle should run.
She could win. She could win, I think. I think if she ran, she could win.
Do you ever run for office?
No.
I have to ask it.
No.
No kind of office.
No.
I don't think she wants that, though.
No.
I don't think she wants that in her life.
Just-
They dealt with over the 8 years when he was president.
Because I've got these two young people at home. Being the kids, the daughters of a president, just think about it. Not so easy.
That job for anybody that really good at it.
Yeah, I trust the person who doesn't want the job more than the person who wants the job.
It's not something that I'm interested in or would ever do, ever.
To Joe, the real drama wasn't in her speeches, it was in how badly people wanted to believe. Even when her message was fluffier than a trendy podcast, the crowd begged to be inspired. Then Gutfeld jumped back in with bite. He said Michelle had become a political security blanket beyond criticism, wrapped in emotional armor. They both laughed at how a single vague hint from her could set off a national frenzy, like royalty had returned. To them, a presidential run wasn't a surprise. It was the slowest, most luxurious rollout in modern memory. But if Michelle was about to don the crown, Joe and Greg were there to say what too many wouldn't. Beneath the polished icon was still a politician, and no politician should be immune to real scrutiny.